Hello, I'm Gemma and this is Nonfic Books, and today I have a review video for you, and that is Tara Bunton's Life Less Throwaway, The Lost Art of Buying for Life, and that was published this week by Thorson's, which is an imprint of HarperCollins. This book, as the title suggests, looks at how we can go about developing a life that is less disposable, less throwaway, and much more where we invest in quality items that will last with us for the rest of our lives, or at least for as long as is reasonable to expect from a particular item. Tara Bunton is worked as an advertising executive, but has since stopped working in that and has started a website called Buy Me Once. And obviously this book is the philosophy behind that website, which is, it's sort of a department store, but it really links you on to the people who make high quality items, and it's also a website that has an index of companies who are doing brilliant things when it comes to creating high quality, long lasting items. This book is broken into two parts. The first part looks at the philosophy and how it's very different from the relatively mindless consumerism that most of us sort of live in the Western world. And then the second part looks at how we can make changes, and it's followed by an appendix that has a lot of information on what you should be looking for if you're looking for high quality items in different areas. So she goes through like kitchen items, clothing items, and then the next appendix gives you information on how to look after and repair items, which is something that we don't tend to do as often as we really should do. I absolutely love this book. It's a book that I really have sort of been feeling the lack of, because while I think all of these sort of Marie Kondo and decluttering things are absolutely brilliant, I'm a big fan of living more simply and more sustainably. The problem is a lot of them don't encourage slightly more sustainable living. They encourage this very throwaway culture. And like you see it a lot on YouTube or something, someone does this big declutter and then 6 months later they're doing another massive declutter because they have bought so much rubbish in the 6 months in between that it's really just continuing a very disposable attitude towards goods. So I think this book is a really sort of important, great book to be around at the moment, and I hope that people, like, if it picks up like the Marie Kondo book, I would be delighted. But I think, like anything like this, it's often the people who already believe in this that will pick up a book like this. So hopefully I might encourage one or two of you who may not have been interested in this in the past to go and pick up this book, because I think it's fantastic. She looks at the cost of our mindless consumerism, very briefly looking at the sort of environmental damage, the fact that things may well be cheap, but there is a cost to something, and if we're not paying it, other people are paying it, or the environment's paying it. So if you buy a £5 top from Primark, that might be great, but it's been made through slavery, and there's no way of getting around that at all. And we've become very separated from what things should actually cost, and that long term it's actually quite a lot cheaper for people to buy one expensive item if you know how to look for quality than it is if you have to keep buying 5, 6, 7, 8 cheaper items that will keep breaking in a much quicker sort of way. This book is really great. It looks at the different ways you can do this, how that it isn't just for rich people, which is often the sort of thing thrown at this sort of living. Oh, that's great if you've got the money, but for most of us, especially if you have the facility and the time to be watching something like this on YouTube, you have the money to live a more ethical and sustainable lifestyle. It just means changing your mindset. And yes, none of us can afford to buy 15 tops at 70 quid when you might be able to afford 15 tops in a year that are 5 quid, but none of us need to be consuming at quite that level. And this book looks at how, because she has a background in advertising, how advertising works, how it's meant to manipulate us, how it is fantastic at destroying our self-esteem and therefore brilliant at making us buy stuff to make us feel like we could be better, we could be more beautiful, we could be more successful if we buy things, and how you can make your life far more sort of full and more personal when you stop looking at buying and start looking at living and being a lot more. And it's a very interesting book because it has exercises throughout it that, I don't know, I'm normally a bit, I find them a bit cringe having exercises, but I thought these were actually quite good, where she has, when she's talking about home decor, she has sort of an exercise to do about sort of looking at your taste and focusing on what is actually your taste, rather than sort of, oh, this week millennial pink is like the in thing, or it's probably not now, but like, and that's what you should have everything in, and then quickly changing over to something else, so that when you do spend money on something that is high quality and that can last for at least 15-20 years, maybe if not the rest of your life, and be handed on, they are things that you would want to live with for that length of time, because they are something you genuinely like and you like long term, rather than something that you've been convinced is the thing. Even if most of us don't think we are affected by advertising, that is why advertising is so successful, because we're all in a bit of denial. All of us are affected by advertising. The only way you cannot be affected by it is to not see it. And this book is absolutely fascinating, looking at marketing, and then it's quite practical as well, looking at how you can go about changing things and how she's gone about changing things in her life. I absolutely love it. I mean, I'm not surprised I love it, because this is how I approach my life and how I am trying to focus on investing in quality, minimising waste that we produce in our household, and living as sustainably as we can, considering we live in the countryside and we have children. Well, child and a dog. But I really hope that even if this is not something you would ever normally pick up, that you give it a go, because I think this has been massively missing from all of these conversations about decluttering and simplifying and minimising, which is all the it thing at the moment, which I think is fantastic. But one thing that is so often not looked at is the not bringing the crap in the first place. And this book, I think, really deals with that. And I just think that's fantastic, and it's been missing in the conversation. If you're not interested in the book, I would highly suggest going over and having a look at her website, which is Tara Button. I'll link it down below. And then the department website for Buy Me Once, which is, there's a UK and a US version. And it's absolutely fantastic. Yes, stuff's expensive, but when something has a lifetime guarantee that's an actual lifetime guarantee, it doesn't work out being that expensive in the grand scheme of things. And hopefully this book will help at least a few people get their mindset into thinking slightly long term and really assessing how we live on the planet at the moment, because we just really can't go on as we are. So hopefully you'll be interested. I love it. I'll definitely be rereading it, and I'll certainly be going back to the bits about mending different things, because I'm okay at fabrics, but going on to other things I'm less good at mending. So I'll definitely be referring back to this, because I think it's very useful, especially when she's talking about what to look for when you're looking for quality, because I think that's something that a lot of us don't know very much about. Have you read this? Are you interested in reading this? Do you have anything else that has this sort of similar theme? Because I'd be very interested to know. Leave a comment down below, and I will speak to you in a video soon. Bye!